That's always better. And now we'll go to screen share. And I want to share this one. And you wonder, why not open it up to full screen? Well, on this operating system, if I open this up to full screen, the screen goes over to one of my other displays, and we're sitting here looking at something else anyway. So we'll go from here. So here's how you do. If you want to maximize your course performance, well, first off, I had several emails from one of the Baker deans over the last couple days, and they're going, look, stress what you're going to take away from the class. Stress what they're learning, not points. Okay? So let's do that. Let's stress what you're going to carry away. Stress value. And if you look at the discussions that are going on today, go look at some of those, because I spent a little bit of time answering some questions and making some additional points, some management, leadership, decision type content is out there. And I think it might be under the performance thread. So go look at that. And feel free, remember, join any of the discussion threads. Don't just post something up and then come back 4 days later and go see, well, nobody said anything to me. Well, you know, there are other threads. Find something interesting. Get involved, because there was a study done, oh golly, probably about 3 or 4 months ago now, and it validated that engagement meant learning. And that meant carrying value from the class. And so here's what you do. Involve yourself with the rest of the class. Get involved. Show your experience and the course content. And do more than that. Do not just say, well, in my experience or in my opinion, right? Go ahead and find some substantiating expert, right? Go into the course library. Everybody says, oh, the library is a terrible thing. Well, not really. And I think I have an instruction on how to use it that might already been posted. If not, it will come up. And if you want one, you can go in and ask the librarians. The librarians are in there. They have a thread. You can go to ask the librarian and say, how do I do that? And they'll go, oh, that's how you do that. And if you want, you can ask me, and I'll make up a little video that says, here's how you can do that. And go get some experts that supports what you feel and what you believe. That's the deal, right? You want to convince people what you believe, that's a nice way to think. So you always want to do a little bit more than the minimum. And it's been my experience that Baker students always far surpass minimum requirements. You guys are just fantastic. And I ask you, please read the feedback regardless of the score. I made that mistake. When I was working on my master's program, I had all A's, and I went, oh, got an A, got an A, got an A. And didn't even look at the feedback. And I had been making one mistake consistently, and yet it was not enough to drop my score below an A. But instead of being a 99%, it was a 90%. Was a 9% drop, almost a 10% drop in performance, because I did never read the feedback. So read the feedback, okay? And if you have any questions, ask your questions, and also check your scores for accuracy. Sometimes my hand-eye coordination is off, and I will put, I'm admitting a mistake here. I've done this, right? I put one score, and it's one up or one down for where I'm really supposed to be looking. So check me, okay? Check me, please. And if I make a mistake, it's not a problem. Here's the other thing. If I do make a mistake in grading something and you get a higher score and you ask about it, it's okay. I'm not going to lower the score. It was my mistake. Okay? I paid for it. I buy it. That's me. If I make a mistake, then it's my mistake. It's not your mistake. Okay? That's the way managers are. That's the way leaders are. It's their mistake. I want you to participate all through the week. That's why those little fun activities are there, to get you involved in the first two, because the week goes like this: the first 2 days, the next 3 days, and the next 2 days. If you participate in all 3 segments with good substantial contributions, 100% engagement score. Ta-da! Okay, easy to do. And with that little fun activity, that takes care of the first 2 days. Just do the little fun activity, and you're done. First 2 days, and then you have the 3 days, and then the 2-day intervals. Do not jam everything on the end. Do not leave stuff off in the middle. Do all the way through. Go ahead and join those other interesting threads. You're important. You're all important, but sometimes somebody just asks something that's more exciting. Okay. And you guys determine, you have to look at 2 things. There's my perspective, because I think this is important, and so I put it in there, right? But then there's your perspective. That's why there's such a wide variety of questions in the discussion thread for engagement. You find something that is important to you, that's interesting to you, and have them all. The only thing you're really required for, right, is that one weekly required DQ. You have to do that one because that's a course requirement, not my option. That's the course requirement. And then you do engagement throughout the week. So find things that are interesting for you and get engaged, okay? Beginning, middle, end of the week. We do have 2 case studies, one in week 1, one in week 2. After that, there are no more case studies. That's all. Just case 1, case 2. That's it. Then you have an assessment paper every week, and then that final project. And we've been working on that, and you go, oh my goodness, I'm still. Well, it's Tuesday, and so just about it. Well, actually, it's Wednesday. And so just about everybody has an approved topic for their final project. Now, listen to me, please. Your final project must come from the approved topic. And this is week 1, or actually we're in the beginning of week 2, right? Getting ready here to have week 2. And you go, well, and now we're getting to write assessment papers. And you go, well, wait a minute. That when you get to where the final project is due, think back. No, it's not on the assessment papers. It's on the topic you picked here in week 1. Make your topic the one from here. Do not write on your assessment papers, okay? The reason I said that is because I just had 3 students do that. They forgot their topic. Go back and look. Okay, all right, moving on here. So what are on the assessments? Let's go to that. Use the same organization. Always answer all of the questions. And here's the deal on this. A lot of students want to write about their organization, and that's great. But if there is anything at all, even the slightest issue with your letting people know things about your organization, change the name. You can just say, the organization, company XYZ, Home Builders Supply, ABC. And it does not even have to be Home Builders Supply. It does not matter. As long as you use that same title all the way through and you're talking about the same organization all the way through, okay? You don't give any trade secrets away, nothing. If there's any problem at all, do it immediately. Start that way. Say, my company is going to be company ABC, period. That's it. That's all that I need to know. Okay? Got that. Now, the first 3 papers are called pre-assessments. And what we're doing here, this is management improvements principles. What do? You look at people. You look at technology, right? What is there now? That's what you're going to do on papers 1 through 3. What is there now? Does it have problems? Does it not have problems? Everything has problems. It's just how prevalent they might be, right? So you're addressing every present condition. And then for the next 3, you're going to look at improvements in every condition that you discussed in the previous ones. And now here's a big hint. Please answer all of the questions, because some of the pre-assessments have a slightly different question or one less question than the post-assessments. They're not identical. They are not identical. I've had students give me the same paper for their pre-assessment 1 as they delivered for post-assessment 4. It was the same paper. And I said, you did not follow directions. I don't want to know the way things are. I want to know the way things are going to be improved. And we need to know a little bit about how they are, but we need to know on those improvements. Okay? And one of the papers specifically has on the post-assessment, there's like 7, and everybody goes back to the pre-assessment and they go, well, I have these 6 things. And as a result, they've dropped their score because they left one of the questions all the way out. Please read all of the questions. Address improvements in every condition. Okay, so I'll move on to the final project. This is your approved topic. Try to make something that's real for you. If your organization is not doing anything and you're interested in something anyway, and that's what you want to research, okay. This is something you want to make real for you. I don't want a software demo that says, okay, this is how this piece of software works. No. I want to know why your organization wants that piece of software. What's that? This is MIS. What's that piece of software going to perform, deliver, execute, value create? Why do they want that piece of software? Not how does the software work? Not a software demo. Okay? Do this as if you were presenting it to an executive. Executives are notorious for short attention spans. That means 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. Maybe 6, but that's about all, right? You're not going to take 15 or 20 minutes. I had an executive for 30 minutes one time. I thought he was going to roll over dead. He was bored to tears, actually. He was not listening, but that was okay. So you have this brief project, right? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, no more than 10 or 12 slides, not 30 or 40 slides. And there are examples. There are examples of student projects that are in the course. You can look at some of them. And do not read the slide. How many times have you been in a presentation and the person putting the slides on the screen sits there and reads, approved topic, try to make it apply for you or your org, not a software demo? Didn't you want to wring their neck? You're already literate. You know how to read. So do they. What you want to do is you want to talk about the approved topic. You put that up there with a bullet point, but talk about it. Talk about the content of the bullet point. Okay? Understand how that works? That's the way presentations work. Do not have them text heavy. This is enough. You've seen slides that had words that went from all the way up here to all the way down there and filled the whole square and leaked over. Do not do that. Okay? That's a major turnoff for anybody watching it. We used to take bets as to how long it would take somebody to read their slides. Okay. And you'll want transitions. You don't want to go click like I'm going here. I'm going through one. It's just one. It's one. It's one, right? Well, you would not do that. And the best thing is go ahead and practice on some of those things, those Prezi and those the other different examples and software packages. Use the free ones. Do not go buy something. Okay? All right. Well, let's move on here. So here's a couple things. Well, actually, I had a couple of some really interesting things here. This is exciting. There is an engineer decided that he wanted to know how efficient his organization was. And so he said, okay, well, how do I do that? He was an MIS guy, I think. And so what he did was he put a monitor on the power line. And you go, so? Well, wait. Every device that powers up onto a power line has a unique signature. It has a power on signature. And when it's shut off, it has a power off signature. It looks different. And he said, how can I take advantage of that? He made and has a new startup company to where he sells this box. It's an interface box, and it records the startups and the shutdowns. It records all of the transitions on the power line. And so guess what he can do? He can tell a company who turned on a coffee pot and who turned it off, who turned on a toaster, who turned on a floor warmer, a floor heater, right? That's pretty neat stuff. And so that means that companies that are trying to save money can monitor the energy use in their company, which is really kind of an exciting thing. And the name of his company is Verdigris, Verdigris. And this came out just about a week ago, that he's actually this startup company. So that's an MIS function. Okay, so that was kind of fun to talk about. So briefly here, cyber attacks. Oh my goodness, we've read about cyber attacks and all sorts of things now for weeks and weeks and months, and so much of it is bogus and unbelievable that it is really bogus and unbelievable, right? However, some of what's going on is actually real, and we did have just this last week some very major events, and some of the tech forums are discussing and preparing for the follow-on to those events. That was some pretty interesting stuff going on over this last week. Go check if you're not already familiar with it, and go do a search for the most recent cyber events, cyber attacks. Pretty exciting, interesting. Okay, so what do you have? This was just 2016, and I also read just a couple days ago that like 40% of CEOs knowingly use defective software despite security issues. So how does that make you feel, right? Anyway, in 2016, 49, that's what I can call it, half of surveyed businesses reported attacks. What did they have? They had loss from their data, services out, damage their reputation when people go, I don't want to buy from Target, right? And because most people are so intertwined between their customers and their partners, when damage occurs to one organization, it also occurs to the others. And most of these attacks were DOS attacks, and that's just denial of service. And what that means, if you're not already familiar with it, is you simply overwhelm the capacity or the capability of the servers, and they shut down. They do not shut down. It's just too much for them to handle. And so effectively, they shut down. That's the most common attack. Okay, so why were cyber attacks very successful? Well, here's the big one right here. The Internet of Things is very, very poorly defended. So if you are using or contemplating including the Internet of Things with some of your work, you need to be very careful with that. And overall poor security practices. And who was that? I think it's something like not that high. About 25% of security professionals admitted to bypassing their own security because it was a pain to keep up with it. So it's called security fatigue. You do not want security fatigue to set in. You have inadequate controls, poor training, and people that should take the threat seriously, such as some of those some of those security professionals. They figure, well, I'm a security professional. No one will attack me. Wrong answer. Okay. Moving on. Why? It's always what? Money. A lot of ransomware. I think it was something like about 25% of organizations that had been attacked admitted to paying ransomware. Some of the students in previous classes admitted that their companies had paid ransomware. So they do that. The insider threats, those are just people that are deciding they're getting ready to leave. So what do? You need to have people watch the watchers, right? And as soon as something bad happens, that's the time to go in and remove accesses. For example, somebody leaves the organization, immediately all of their accesses should be completely revoked, disappear, go away, right? Because somebody that works there that is not honest could use that to do something. Okay. In 2017, this year, they've actually publicly released botnet code. Wow. That's what goes out and grabs all of these computers and makes them all part of some huge botnet, ransomware. Think of the effect of ransomware on medical equipment. Can you imagine that? A hospital gets a ransomware threat. You think they're not going to pay? What happens if the life support starts going off in their hospital, right? Pretty bad situation. So that means whatever you do, you protect it from getting in there to begin with. And there are literally ways to damage hardware. Somebody asked me this last week or said, oh, come on, how can you do that? Well, you can do that. Because if you can actually get into the system, into the operating system, and in the operating system, you can disable the temperature sensor, say, that turns the fan on in the laptop or in the computer, right? So now you turn the fan off, it's never going to come on. Well, guess what? You have physical meltdown. Actually, the computer will destroy itself, overheats. So yes, you can damage the hardware. And of course, threats to public transportation or infrastructure. And you go, really? What kind of public transportation? Well, how about those cars that are self-driving cars? Somebody takes over the car that you're letting the car drive you. That'd be pretty exciting, huh? Okay, so what do? Make sure always to keep your software up to date. I did that. I was one of the sysadmin guys. My responsibility was to continually monitor and update all of our software. Also, you want to back up the content to an off-site location. You go, what the heck does that mean? Well, if you have a fire in the building and everything in the building goes away, well, now you've lost your backup too, right? So off-site. Segment the networks so that somebody does get in, they cannot run rampant. And I did this one. This was fun, penetration testing. You make sure that you arrange that. If you're going to do that, you arrange that with the company that you're going to do it with so they know when you're going to come, where you're going to do it, how you're going to do it, what you're going to do, and that it is you, and you have all of their approvals to do that. Then you can do that sort of thing. Do not go out and get some penetration testing software and decide you want to go start having fun. You can have fun with people that want you to have fun for them. I really enjoyed that one. Found places that were open in the organization. They had no idea that they had those things open anymore. Train your people and your organization to work. And then the big one, follow your training. Okay? All right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. We're open for, I'm going to go ahead and stop the share here. And so we're open for comments. If someone would like to make a comment, please go ahead. And I also have the chat screen open. If you want to chat, you may do that. Any comments? I see nothing in chat and I hear nothing in audio. Okay. Let me try my video here for a second. So there you go. No comments? Okay. Number 2, right? We've already gone, all of that was number 1. Any questions, anytime you have Ask the Professor thread every week. You have every week frequently asked questions. Read that thread. It's the same thread every week, but it has all of the things you want to know for the whole course. Frequently asked questions. Take a look at that. And I will answer frequently asked questions. If you ask one and it's a new one, if you ask me in the Ask the Professor thread, I'll answer that. If you send an email, I will answer that. If you want to call me, I will answer that. I am here for you. Okay? All right. So thank you all for coming. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording now. Hopefully I'll turn off the recording. Maybe. And good evening to everybody. Bye-bye.